once again YouTube, and welcome back to the Jutska experience. I'm going to be trying something different today and actually cast a game. And the game you're about to see is from the current 2v2 tournament between my team, composing of myself and Counterattack, and one of our arch rivals, Nat with his partner Framaz. We are playing on a modification aimed at creating kind of a balanced multiplayer experience developed by Strat and myself a little bit to just make the game a lot more interesting to play than vanilla. It's a lot less one-sided because vanilla is very one-sided at the moment. And the map we'll be playing on is Tatterby, a very close quarters combat oriented map with many undulations in the terrain that provide really a lot of unique opportunities to attack and defend compared to some other flatter maps. In the southern flank, the side I will be playing on just has a few wooden structures around my home flag with a ridge on my side of the road, which is going to really help slow down any enemy tank rushes. The flag I aim at taking has a very small ridge on its southern flank, along with a few structures offering some cover as well. And the map reminds me a lot of the final days of the German Reich on the Eastern Front. Very brutal close quarters combat, sort of like CeeLo Heights. And I've been practicing a lot on casting games lately, and I really like the challenge of something new, so please give me some feedback on what can be improved upon. So I think that's enough theory crafting. Let's dive into the actual game. I'm going to be starting with the Soviets with a regular infantry squad. Nothing really interesting to see there, and really another uninteresting start here from Shatter. And I will be referring to him as Shatter for the duration of this game, even though he's going to be coming up as Counterattack on the scoreboard. He's going to be playing as USA with an elite marksman start. Definitely the start you want to be using as USA, just because they have all those automatic rifles. They really are second to none. Well, maybe only second to the Finnish elite marksman, but Framaz, interestingly enough, has decided to opt out of using the Finnish elite marksman with their fully automatic SVT-40 variants, the AVS-36, maybe in favor of some numerical superiority over Shatter, but really I think these elite marksman Shatter has set up really nice on this ridgeline are going to really demolish Framaz up there. I bet he's wishing he had those elite marksmen. And just as I move over, we see a really nice grenade here on Nat's machine gunner. He's also using a regular infantry squad, same as me here on the southern flank of Tatterby, and he returns the favor very quickly against two of my men and killing the third with the good old-fashioned bullets. And unfortunately for me, even though I got that high value machine gunner kill and my machine gunner is still alive, albeit on low health, he still won the firefight. And really at the time I wasn't really understanding why I lost a firefight, but this is something I normally forget when I play, is the high ground, and that tree is actually floating. I'm going to have to work on fixing that in this map. But on the high ground, Minivore has really bad issues with infantry. Usually you're going to skyline. Some of your infantry will be sitting behind the hill here and they can't aim down all the way. And the few guys that actually can shoot, all of Nat's men here on the lower part, this lower shelf of terrain, are going to be able to fire up and completely demolish those guys as they come up one by one. It's kind of really bad on my part, and it really bodes well for Nat at the start of this game. He's got a really nice opening. And it's just, I should have really put guys behind this little hill here and waited until I got basically the Soviets' superior fire support that they get, or maybe just numerical advantage over Nat, to really, make sure I don't lose the opening as bad as I did. But I digress. Really the main theme of this video is you do not have to win the opening engagement to win the game. Really, you really have to win the second engagement, so to speak, because when kind of the light tanks start coming out, like the T-60 or even a T-34-76, when those things start coming out, that's when you can really, put the nail in the coffin of Nat. If I really want to end this game quickly as Soviets, that is something that is really easily doable as the Allies faction in general. Soviets and USA, they're obviously on the Allies side of the meta, and the Allies in general are very rushy, very aggressive, and just in general, you have to win quickly if you want to win as Allies. You don't have to, but with the meta that Shatter and I play, and we are very aggressive, micro-intensive, pushy players, while Nat and Framaz are the opposite end of the spectrum. They are very staticky, very banky, and they like to sit back, lock the game down, slow it up, and that's where Axis thrive. And we can see my BA-64 was captured. It is a very interesting unit in that you're either going to do really well with it or you're going to do really badly. And unfortunately for me, Nat had a really nice AT rifle already set up. He kind of knew it was going to happen. I probably should have realized Nat is definitely competent enough to buy an AT rifle at the start, especially with Japan with its great AT rifle. But the BA-64's main goal at the start is just to run down a lot of enemy cover and run over soldiers, kill soldiers, just give me any edge possible. And I was hoping that BA-64 would alleviate some of the kind of misplay that I did at the start of the game. And that's really what I tried to do, and obviously I failed at that miserably with the BA-64. It actually killed one of my shock infantry flamethrowers, and I had to buy my own AT rifle to kill my own BA-64, so that sets me back a huge amount in the economy in this game. I just lost so much, and I had to buy this AT rifle, which is really useless to me at the start of the game unless Nat's going to be buying light vehicles, and Nat's not that kind of person in my opinion, so he definitely has the MP advantage over me. And we can see Shotter also tried a light vehicle, and from Maz's AT rifle, that boy's 55 caliber was able to drop a shot right into the ammo storage. I guess that 50 caliber BMG storage got completely detonated and destroyed the half track. But here is what I'm talking about when I talk about the second engagement. I bring out my second shock infantry squad, and this is kind of the roadmap when you're playing as Soviets. You get this first shock infantry squad at 3 minutes. You get the second shock infantry squad with the T-60 at 5 minutes. Then you get a charge squad at 6 minutes to have numerical superiority over your opponent and fire superiority over your opponent. And then you're going to get black coats at the 9-minute mark, which will give you some anti-tank capabilities and just really an overall, if you're pushing an opponent, that black coat is just the final nail in the coffin. I say it again, but it's true. It's the final nail in the coffin when you're pushing your opponent's back. That's what you want to do. You want to just confirm the assault, and that's what black coats enable you to do. And you can get some red guards as well. I think I'm going to buy them right now. No, I get a charge squad. But if you notice, I'm not buying a tank. I'm not buying a T-34 because I don't need one. Nat has bought a Chinu, and he bought this at about the same time of my T-60. And unfortunately for him, I basically nullified the effectiveness of this Chinu by putting my T-60 behind the hill here. He really has nothing he can do against this T-60, and he's wasted basically a whole Chinu buy. I mean, he is making it so I can't just run amok up here and destroy his whole line of infantry. But at the same time, it's not doing anything. This Chinu has no capability, really, of killing my infantry, just based on the sole fact that it only has one machine gun in the hole here, which makes it very useless at attacking infantry. And we can see another shock infantry from me running a little amok there. But he is taken down. I digress. The Chinu is probably not the best tank in this situation, really, against Soviet armor in general. Really, a Chi-He would have been sufficient enough for stopping this T-60, even more than sufficient. One of the lighter Japanese tanks could have held it off. Just really, Chinu's not the best, because either I'm going to get a T-34-76, and that's going to 50-50 against the Chinu, or I'm going to get a T-34-57, which is going to for sure kill it. So you might as well get a Chi-He or Chi-To against the Soviets. Chinu really isn't that necessary. The T-34-76 is just such a great unit. And I'm going to move over here with Shotter because I remember around this time him laughing maniacally about killing a T-50 with a Willys AT here. And now we can kind of see an inverse on Shotter's side. He's using the depression now to his advantage, getting below it and popping up just in time to drop a really long-range bazooka shot on a much more expensive T-50 here. So he's just going to pull over the hill here, drop a T-50 shot, and he still dies, of course, but it is a very, very cost-efficient trade there. And we can see I'm just playing cat and mouse around this hill, and this Chinu has no abilities to really do anything about it. It can't do anything. It cannot shoot through, 20 feet of solid mud and rock and dirt. But really, this T50 loss here allows Shotter, especially with the flamethrower here, arcing over this little depression, to really lock down this point. The T50, these things add up. Like I was talking before about my BA-64 and my AT rifle, they add up over time. And when you lose things, especially in the early stages of the game, it really affects what you can do and what you can counter. And that really matters when you're playing such an early game. And you can see I can pop around with this T60 still, and the Chinu can't do anything about it. I can get slow, you know, I can slowly chip away at his infantry defense here, and there's nothing he can do about it. And since he's bought this Chinu, wasted so much points on it, he's really neglected buying this infantry Nat, and it allows me to sneak up a Red Guards bazooka. Of course I lose him, but the trade for the Chinu is definitely worth it, and the floodgates are now open for my T60. The T60 can just roll in now and completely devastate Nat's infantry. And yet again, another flame. I'm getting really unlucky with the flamethrowers. This is really not an example of the power that shock infantry can bring to the table. I'm just getting unlucky at the moment. Here's my black coat squad that we're talking about. This is exactly what I was talking about. They are going to finish off this push. I have some red guards. I have a remnants of a charge squad that can, you know, push. But the black coats are going to finish it off. They're tier 3 infantry. They're great infantry. There's 2 bazookas. I already have 1 more bazooka with that red guard squad that's still alive. If you have this amount of bazookas on the field, you do not need a tank, especially in these close quarters combat situations. Maybe on a field I would want to have a tank, but really, when things are this close in, you don't need a tank. They're just not required at all. And Nat's panic buyed an AT gun here and another Chinu. Yet again, he could have bought a Chihi and done the same exact thing. So I'm not really sure why it was chosen. And unfortunately for Nat, he just tracks my T60 with this. And really, this is putting the nail in the coffin. And I say it again, this is where you can completely destroy your opponent. This is the final push on this second engagement, so to speak. You can really destroy everything they got. Their will to, you know, will to fight, will to live. And Nat is really struggling right there. Just taking a quick look over here at Shotter. Looks like he's doing all right. He has definitely this little depression here. And if we look over here, I have yet again another bazooka. Almost missed it. I got back in time, but I stuck up another bazooka and got the Chinu. So he's bought a Chinu, he's bought another Chinu, and that really made it so he couldn't buy a lot of infantry to counter my infantry spam. I was just able to infiltrate with no issue, and then use the Black Coat's half-track to run over the very valuable 150mm mortar. This 150mm mortar could actually completely shut down my push here for the sole reason it has such a large blast radius, which could completely shut down all of my infantry here. But unfortunately, I run it over. Unfortunately for Nat, very fortunately for me, that is a very important unit to take out. And he still has his 47mm up still somehow. And right now, as we can see, I have completely locked down this side. I've killed 2 tanks, and I have not really lost anything of value in this push. I didn't even need a T-34. I didn't need a tank to do this against 2 tanks. So that really goes to show that you can really get away with a lot without using a vehicle. If you just have numbers on your side, if you have infiltration tactics on your side, and just the overwhelming might that the Soviets can bring to the table. Currently, the Soviets are very overpowered, and here's another bazooka kill on a Chiha 47. Take note, Nat was lagging a little bit during this game. He was having some lag issues, some ping spikes. Nat is very comparable in skill to myself and Shotter. I think Nat was just either having a bad day or he was having, you know, some ping issues. But really the Soviet spam strategy, this meta, is unstoppable, and there really needs to be some things done to fix this, in my opinion. Right now, it really is very difficult to beat. Allies in general are very difficult to beat just because they have such high spam potential. If we can look on the mini-map, you can just see how many things we have on the field compared to our opponents. You can see Nat is trying to run up a bazooka, and he manages to kill my T-60, but my T-60 has definitely paid for himself quite a bit over. He has allowed me to push and really lock this position down to a certain extent. I may have overextended myself a little bit. I did buy an officer, which grants me some extra CP, which allows, you know, more infantry on the field, more numerical superiority than I already have, but I really should have gotten a tank. Actually, I've been dissing the tank the whole cast here, but maybe just a T-34-76, a base model, would have been enough to kind of just lock things down a little more securely than just pure infantry. And Schotter, we can see, has the elite Sherman 76 going up against a Panzer IV-J by Fromage. That is a very uncharacteristic, it's just not something you normally see coming from Finland. The Panzer IV-J, I would feel a lot more comfortable as Finland using a T-34-85 against this Fury. And what is different about the Sherman Fury than the normal Sherman 76 is that it has basically the same stats as a Veteran Tiger in terms of the accuracy buff and the reload buff, yet it is a little bit cheaper than the Veteran Tiger, of course, at 5 special points. And really, the Panzer IV-J, I would feel really kind of bad with a Panzer IV-J going up against a normal 76, let alone a Fury 76. And it looks like Schotter was able to kill some tank crew here on the turret, but unfortunately this GL-47 turned out to be a very difficult tank to crack open. And we can see Nat has actually been able to push him back. I overextended a little bit too much, and I have left my flag into the hands of Nat. Unfortunately, I was doing so well, but it's okay. You don't have to get a full cap all the time. Especially though when you do play in this kind of meta where you play very aggressive and use all your points very quickly, you have to win the games very quickly as well, or you're going to run out of manpower very fast. So you have to get the full cap, or at least leave them maybe one flag at maximum to really secure a victory over your opponents. Very safe victory. And just as a side note, these games look really flashy. The meta that we employ, it looks really flashy when you get the full cap and in the game really quickly, but really it's not if you compare it to an Axis win, which would be a very long and drawn out game where they barely win and we maybe get 90 score, 80 score, and they come back and win. And kind of those games, it's kind of hard to compare them in that way. Axis games, their wins are just not as flashy as Allies are here. The Allies wins just always look a lot more impressive than they actually are. And this GR-47 finally gets killed. I'm not actually sure how that happened. But Nat is going to bring out a 20mm, which unfortunately isn't going to be pushing me back. I can just sit behind the ridge here. But what will push me back is an SNFL squad in a half-track. And unfortunately, the 20mm killed his own half-track. These guys kind of get out in the open. They're ambushed. And to just solidify this point completely, I'm going to bring out, T-60. And the T-60 is just an amazing vehicle, as previously stated many times. I really can't get over how important the T-60 is. And by the way, Schotter, it looks like he killed this Panzer IV with his own Sherman Fury. And the Panzer IV-J is actually really bad because it doesn't have actually an electrical turret. So it doesn't have that turret speed that normal tanks do. It has a slow turret speed, so it's more like a turretless tank destroyer more than anything else. And in turning to deal with this Greyhound, he left his side open, and the Sherman 76 was able to completely finish it off. And Schotter's going to bring his Fury around just to solidify my side and make sure we get a full cap. Nothing really weird is going to go on. But as we see, if we take a little quick look at the scoreboard, I have a 213 score compared to Nat's 139 score, so I have a lot better economy situation than Nat does, and there's really nothing he can do to push this back. This is definitely game at 97 out of 100. Just a quick disclaimer though, Nat and I, just these two teams in general, we're very equally matched. We just have very different play styles, and they suit well on different maps. Sometimes they win with their play style, and sometimes we win with our play style. In this tournament game though, we end up winning very convincingly here on Tatterby. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.